talk about something else now, just to give you a basic framework of the word karma. The world that we live in needs to be approached in a certain way, and that's fine. But there is another world that goes on, which is the real context. You live in the subcontext. You live in a window of reality. We do. We live in a window where there's a certain amount of understanding. The actual full frame, the full light of the world is a lot larger. There's a lot more going on that we are not aware of. Karma is basically the legal system and the law of life. It measures actions and gives you reactions. It's the consequences of all your actions. It's the reason why we're not allowed to be indiscriminate in our actions. It's why we're not allowed to just do anything. If there was no legal system of life, karma, we could be able to do anything. But karma is there to measure our actions and say, okay, now this is your action and this is going to be the reaction to your action, right? The trade-off was this. If you guys want free will, then who's going to control you? If God puts us down here and says, right guys, this is what you're supposed to do, and I'm going to remind you every day, and I'm going to correct everything you do, and you're basically going to be flipping robots. If you don't want that, and you don't want the power to decide and choose every day what you do, then something needs to take care of that, and that, my friends, is karma. Right? It's the framework that lets us know when an action that we've chosen to do is not right. So if every time something goes wrong in your life, God comes down and fixes it. Or every time someone does something nasty to you or to people, God comes down and sorts everything out. When are the perpetrators ever going to learn unless they get karma? Now, the other thing to remember is that what you're seeing in your lifetime is one short view of a very, 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 very big succession of movements. So this is where reincarnation comes in. This second subject, you have karma, which is what I've explained to you. Then you have the fact that this is not your only life. This is another subject of yoga. So we bounce through as a soul, going through all these different lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, which have involved insects and plants and algae and everything. We bounce through, and every time we bounce up into a different form or a different place or a different guise, it's to learn the lessons of that guise, that place, that sex, that race, right? So every time you come back, now this time you're an Asian female, next time you're a white male, but every time you come back, the one thing you're taking with you is the karmic account of your previous existence. That follows you around and it will never let you go until you've resolved it. Never let you go. Just like the cart will follow the horse, your karma will follow you. Now I'll talk about how you can get rid of it in a few moments. But this movement through your life, this cart that follows you, you might change your clothes, but your karma is still the same. So when you wake up in a new body, you might look different, you might feel different, but your karma is following you. And it's going to take its place in all the different people and places around you. They all have interactions with you. Now this is where the universe becomes very clever, because the universe has karma, the law of karma has everybody's record. And it will fix, and this is why you must respect this universe. It is so intelligent, and I'm giving a little bit of a tiny toe in the ocean of this ocean of knowledge. You come into this world, and every time people are born here, there is a system out there that's calculating every single person's record. And they're born, and the interactions between all of us are based on the karmic accounts that we have. And it's all about these tradings off of karmas between lifetimes. Now, what's the point of all of this? Knowledge. Wisdom, knowledge. Okay? And love. I'll come to love in a moment. But we all have to learn for ourselves what life is about by experience. We have to learn for ourselves. We do not like to be told, and we do not like to read and learn from books. We learn through experience, right? So people will learn, people get to learn through wisdom, they get teachers, they get many things come to their life to help them not to have to go through the negative experience of karma. But if they don't learn for long enough, what happens then? Then the law of karma has to kick in and say, well, listen, we sent you teachers, we sent you prompts. You know that book you walked past one day that somebody gave to you? That had a lesson for you which would have helped your wisdom and helped you to get out of your karma. But you just didn't want to learn. So the law of karma, the balance of good and bad actions, decided finally, yeah, we gave you a respite because you were a good person in many other areas. So we gave you a long respite and a chance. But then we had to catch up with you. And that's why you've had to learn through an experience. This is why it's so important to learn wisdom and learn constantly. If you're not learning, then this is the kind of thing that can happen. Karma can come and suddenly you're like, oh my God, why has this happened to me? And actually smart people can trace back and look at their lives and see things that are happening and say, actually, you know what? I probably had to learn this somehow. Don't judge situations. Let me give you another analogy. Imagine you're starting school, starting a brand new school, and there's 2,000 children in this school. And it comes to the last day of term, the final day of term, and there's a fight. There's a big fight in the school, in the playground. Everyone's like, trying to find what's going on, and there's 3 kids fighting. Blows back and forth, they're fighting, and you're thinking, my God, what's happening here? You run to the aid of the victim because that's what you should do as a good person. Someone is suffering, somebody's got hurt. 3 children out of 2,000 in this school system. Do you blame the whole school? There's 3 children who decide to have a bit of a skirmish outside. You can't blame the entire school for that. And you sit there and you think, wow, this bully must be really bad. The guy who's done the things must be really bad. Now, what you don't see is that you've only entered the school that term. You don't know that those kids have known each other for 4 years before you. And they've been having this ding-dong in the playground for so much time. But what you've seen is one punch. And you think the bad guy is the guy who's knocked the one over on the floor. But really, that wasn't the bad guy. He was standing up, finally, after years of being bullied and saying, I'm not having this anymore, bad. And you've walked in at that moment. You see? Non-judgment. You've walked in, you've watched one punch in a boxing match and you've decided what happened. But you've seen one punch in a boxing match because that's what you've walked into. What you should do then is what all good people do, is they go and see the school. They talk to the duty head, they talk to the playground assistant, they talk to the teachers and they say, we need to stop this. But can you please do something to help them, to fix it? Now, we're saying this example, the school is God. God says, yeah, okay, you know what, let's try to come down and give these people a bit more wisdom. We know their history, I'll talk to them, I'll deal with them. Thanks for letting us know. Thanks for not making a judgment, by the way, as well, and piling in there. Right? Thanks for that. Karma is the playground, guys. Karma is the playground. It will always fix things up. It will always sort things out. And sometimes you have to let karma get on with it because karma is going to do what it needs to do. But when you watch it, you watch one incident, one thing happens in the world, one thing's happened in one person's life, and you make a call, you don't know the picture, so you get all emotional about it. You go and run to the aid of the victim, which you should do because compassion is just as important as wisdom. But don't make a judgment on the whole thing without knowing the whole picture, which we can't know. The only one who knows the picture is the school, is the head, is the deputies, the ones who have seen everything. They know in this particular moment, actually, what happened there was we tried to talk to that guy about not picking on kids throughout the years, but they kept on doing it, and this happened to them because they're not listening. But we will go and talk to them and we will help to make things better. But this is how it happens in our world. Or in your lives, your job is nothing to do with judgment. Your job is not to pick people apart and say, you should go to hell and you should go to heaven. Your job is compassion. Your job, the only job you have is love. Then you should remember, you don't make judgments. Don't think that you know what is happening. Pray for people, help society to be better by improving the structure of our world, by teaching good things, by being a good person, but don't get into emotional judgment and condemning a race or condemning a person or condemning a group because you don't know enough about the history of the whole thing. And that's why when situations happen, like we've seen recently on television, all these things, you see how people come together. These are terrible moments. They're dark, dark times. Why? We can't claim to know why it had to happen. I mean, it had to happen because it happened. But we don't know why. We're all just as puzzled as each other. But what we do know is love heals. And that's why I said the universe is built of truth and built of love. Now, where you don't know the full truth, we don't understand everything. We don't understand historic karma. We don't understand country karma. We don't understand racial karma. We don't understand personal karma. We don't understand all the interactions of karma that happen between sociological groups, religious groups, personal groups, country groups, energy groups, climate groups, all these interactions that have to play themselves out. We don't know them all, and we can discuss them, but we won't know. What we do know is love heals, compassion heals. And that is why the darkest moments will draw the brightest lights out of all of us. Sometimes it takes darkness to show light. And if we are not showing enough light, then sometimes through the course of our universe, sometimes when darkness descends upon us because of a karmic reason, not because of a personal vendetta by the universe, it does in effect draw out the best of people. And compassion is the most important thing. So if you're going to get fixated on anything when things go wrong, it should be compassion. It shouldn't be blame. It shouldn't be blame. We should never blame. Blame is the weakest and easiest way of dealing with everything, is blame. Anger is natural because when things are sad and difficult, of course, but you resolve that with that anger and that frustration, that it's all energy. Put it towards good action to stop ever happening again, type of thing. And this is what I'm saying to you now. Before you attended that school, Mehul, the school I'm talking about, the analogy, before you attended it, you chose it because it was a good school. You didn't judge the whole school on the 3 pupils, right? So you must retain faith in the school, that the decisions that are made by the school and by the law of the playground are correct. Because in a universe where the stars don't crash into the earth every 15 minutes, where flowers can grow out of nothing, in cracks in the pavement, in a universe where every zebra is born with beautiful stripes and the giraffes with patches, why are not zebras born suddenly with patches? As Yogananda said, why do we walk on the grass and the grass doesn't walk on us? Why is the universe so perfectly organized? In a perfectly organized universe, how can there be these moments of complete madness? Either the universe is mad or it's intelligent. Make up your mind. If the universe is intelligent, then there must be intelligence behind everything that is happening. It can't just suddenly have moments of blackouts of intelligence and just be indiscriminately, right, we're going to give this person cancer and this person doesn't be born with a limb and these 15 people die here, all indiscriminate. We've got a God that just wakes up one morning and depending on his mood just points his finger and says, right, you're going to die today. It's not how it works. If the universe is intelligent, it's intelligent throughout you. And karma will teach you, and the law of yoga will teach you that you are watching one section of a very, very, very big movie. Don't think you're bigger than you are and that you know everything now, because you don't know everything now. You can know everything, but you don't know it all now. If you want, by the way, to know everything and the reason behind every single karmic interaction on this planet, you know what you should do? Exactly what you're doing now. Study yoga. Because it's through meditation and through yoga that you will get to omniscience, omnipresence and omnipotence, where you can become one with the mind of the Creator and understand everything that happened. Then you'll know why everything happened, guys. Until then, you're guessing and stabbing in the dark and making erroneous judgments, and that's to your error, and it will only make you sad. Forget trust. Have faith in the system, learn about it, and then make your decision. Once you've learned the system of yoga properly, and you know the scriptures, and you know the science, and then you can come to me and tell me it's wrong, and show me where, I will have that discussion about that. But until you've studied all that there is to know, how can you say the subject of physics is wrong, the subject of biology is wrong, the subject of math is not full and finished, until you've learned it all? So learn what is there to know, and then you can decide, oh, if the world is wrong, I'd do it better if I was here. Go ahead, good luck. You try and organize 7.8 billion people and all the stuff that has to happen here and do a better job. And by the way, if there's one nutter in 3 years, how many good people are there? If there's 60 million people, 65 million people and there's 3 nut jobs, we've done all right. In any other statistical survey you've done, you'd come up with the same conclusion. It's largely the majority of good, largely. So it's time also to be positive. And it shows more about you than the situation that you're a negative person, if your focus of attention is on giving concentration to the wrong people. When karma slaps you in the face, what it generally means is that it's probably tickled you a few times first. Before it hits you, it does a few things. Through your good actions, it leads you to have chances to get out of your bad actions. Remember that. So this is a really important point, because what a lot of people do and do wrong is that when their bad karma is coming, they give up on doing good because they think it's not flipping worth it. But that good action that you should continue to do will be there to help you later when you need it. Now this means this: good people will come into your life. It means good books will be left with you. The whispers of wisdom will come to you from your inside. You'll be born in good families or better families. You'll make good friends. You'll have the good teachers. So these aids will come into your life, and don't overlook any of those small phrases I've used, because they're hugely important. Those aids will come into your life when your bad karma is at its worst, or any point in the bad karma. But if you stop doing good because bad is happening, that's where people fall down. And then what happens is they stop doing bad because they think, well, it's bad anyway. And then what happens is bad karma follows them, and suddenly they're painting themselves into a spiritual corner. They're sitting there going, I'm doing bad because everything's bad around me, and more bad is coming. Next thing, they're in the corner going, oh my God, what have I done? And then they have to turn around and start repenting. They have to do repentance, which means they have to start doing extra good and fight and pray and beg their way out of that corner. Yeah? And trust me, this is why these people that we say end up evil, dark people, is because they've painted themselves into a corner. And they've made things bad for themselves. When bad is happening, you've got to do more good, because you've got to bring good to you. And it seems illogical, because you think, well, why should I? But you must continue. Must continue. In spite of all things that happen in your life, stick by your character. Do you. Do you. Be yourself. Because yourself is going to save you. Don't adjust. Just because other people can't see doesn't mean you close your eyes too. Patience will afford you wisdom. Before you react, stop and look at what you're about to do, because you might be, every action you make is going to be a consequence. So you might think, right, the action back is that, right? You shout back, scream back, punch back. Now what you've got to deal with is the karma of that as well. Think about what you're about to do. Patience, then wisdom. So patience, you stop. You do not react. Do not react unless you're calm. Do not react unless you're calm. Unless your nervous system is still, don't say a word. Until you can feel your stomach and your breath calm and your nervous system still, don't speak. Wait. And don't do that in a rude way either. Just say to people, it's going to be calm, quiet, or can I come back to you later on this? And then calm down. Because everything that's going to come out of your mouth is going to be accounted for by the universe. So that's more arrows at you. Stay calm. And then when what you give back, you might even be able to do a good karma back against the bad karma. A bad action done to you might give a good reaction back. I always tell people that you are under no obligation to react to anything. We split the first bit of nonsense that we have in our brain and just throw it out. The law of the universe and everything that's totted up to make you what you are today, and the experience that you're going through today is going to be recorded and will come back to you at some point to continue your next experience. When you're born in this life, every single one of you, when you're born, it's the sum total of all your previous lives. So if you want to know what happened in your past lives, look at who you are today. Look at the skills you have. Look at the people that were there or were not there. They all mean something. That was all you're doing, my friends, and my doing too, for me. So this is why God doesn't give you memory of all your past lives, because that need to. You'll just get confused. You can't even handle one life. I can't. Like, dealing with my life right now is enough. Imagine if I knew 100 lives that I had and I was blown up in Vietnam. I would never visit Vietnam again. We can't even handle the prejudice we build in this lifetime. But if you want to know what you were in your last lifetime, look at who you are today, because that's what you were. And you're living in the consequences of those actions, good and bad. My friends, it's what you're living with today. That's what you need to deal with. And that will resolve all the karmas of your past lifetime. You don't need details. You just need to deal with what's on your plate today. Your issues today, deal with them. Then you've dealt with everything. Self-love is a big part of that. Your journey that you're taking will take time. And you're going to screw up a lot along the way. You have to love. Your first child is you. Here's the thing. You want to have a baby in your life, forget about it. If you can't take care of yourself and your own crying, how are you going to look after a child or a teenager? Well, a child and a teenager and a growing thing is going to have so many mistakes as it grows. What are you going to do to it? What would one do to it? You'd say, first you might think, oh, I wish they'd done better. But what you'd say is, it's okay, take your time. Right? I love you anyway. Correct? Do that to yourself. Do that to yourself. Simple. Otherwise, never have a child, because you'll make their life a misery. One second. It's called nurturing. It's called nurturing. So we have to nurture ourselves through these moments. Through our growth, through our development, through our career, through all the things we do, we have to nurture ourselves. So you have to love yourself. You have to look at yourself and know how much you're trying. You have to forgive yourself if you don't get it right. You have to realize that material outcomes have got nothing to do with life. It's all about consciousness outcomes. Your successes are thought trophies. The only trophy you'll ever take with you when you leave this world is a thought trophy. It's a realization. Realizations matter. Nothing matters. Material things you're going to drop in a hot second as soon as you leave it. And then you'll think, shit, I've got no realizations. And that's what I needed to get into a better place. I've got loads of gold, I've got a great job, but I know shit all about life. And you're going to go to the gates of heaven and God's going to go, so what have you got for me? You're like, nothing. I've got tissues. And he'll say, you're funny, come in. Thoughts, realizations. If all you leave with is realization, but you fail everything you go through, but when you get to heaven, you've got a pocket full of sense and realization, then I know your life has been good. But it's about here. Realization, self-realization. That's why Yogananda's group is called, Yogananda, my group is called Self-Realization Fellowship. Believe it or not, meditating properly resolves karma. You have karma stuck around your physiological self, your metaphysical being, around your energy, your consciousness. The consciousness, the memories, and all these things, they sit on you. And sometimes they actually sit in your muscles and sit in your body. They get so deep into you, your karmas, they can make you have tight shoulders and difficult neck, and they can even mess up your body shape and organs. Karma can, energy. When you meditate, you're drawing such power into your chakras and into your spinal centers that it can obliterate and burn, literally burn karma off you. This is no word of a lie. The highest meditation techniques, which you will eventually get to one day, hopefully, have the ability to burn, not even discuss the karmas with God or act out some of them, but literally destroy them. Because what meditation is doing is every time you meditate more, you're getting closer and closer to your soul. And karma is about the distance that you are from God. Karma is only there because you're far from God. And if you're getting closer to God's nature by regular meditation, then some of your karmas will be completely not relevant and they'll fall off you. So you may be destroying karma just by sitting and meditating. Along with that is wisdom. Wisdom does the same thing. If the experience was about teaching, but you learnt it with wisdom in advance, then why does the universe need to teach you the same lesson? It won't need to, because you've learnt it. It's like I gave the example of the school. And the school has said to the boy many times, listen, Jack, we need you to calm down in the classroom, because the other students are finding it difficult. And we've heard some stories about bullying and this, that, and the other, and we need you to calm down. We need to work with you on this. Do you understand why it's wrong? And Jack every day comes in, he's not interested in anything the teacher's got to say. Eventually, there's such a furore amongst the other boys, he gets beaten up. Do you understand? School is trying to teach with wisdom. Behavior. We're not learning. Jack's not learning. Playground, karma takes over. Because it's going to happen. Karma is like that. It's just going to happen because the wisdom is not there. So if you're meditating, if you're developing your wisdom, they're going to get rid of your karma. And the final one is divine intervention. Now, who's ever been to court before for anything? Been to court before? Who's ever been or witnessed a court environment? So a judge is like, if you imagine the judge is like God. He knows the basic rules of everything. He knows the law. He sees that X done X, and that Y is the one who's saying there's a problem, and he knows what should happen. But he's also listening, right? He's listening to what the one who's being accused is saying and their history. And he's going to listen to testimony about them. Then he's listening to the victim. Are they just want them in court to just attack them and to drag them down? Then he's looking at the witnesses and what's their way of doing things. Then he's looking at his knowledge. And in the middle of all of that, the judge is going to make a decision based on various things, but he's going to have some compassion if the character of the individual is appealing, is good. Now take the word appeal and go into 5 year of a 15-year sentence. After 5 years of that sentence, i.e. going into the karma, stay with me guys, the individual has a chance to appeal. What is that appeal process? It's a chance to say to God, the judge or the law, I've done well, I've served 5 years of this karma sentence, I've behaved well, I've learned, I've understood what I've done wrong. Here's my thinking on why I've done it wrong and what I'd want to do better next time. Have you got any chance of letting me out in 7 years and not the remaining 10 years? Now this is a system that operates in our country and all around the world. It's called appeal. Now when I teach you that God's system is no different to what we're building here, you're going to learn every time you hear me speak how true that is. Because it's exactly what divine intervention is in karma. It's when we sit down, and now another thing is going to come up, is pray. This is one of the reasons why you pray. Because you can go to the judge and say, I made a mistake, or I think I'm doing this wrong, or I can see that there's a thing, but I'm sorry, and I want to grow. Can you teach me, can you help me to understand what I can do better in my life? But either way, if you're not talking to me, I want to come forward and apologize and repent. I think I made a mistake there. It's sitting in my conscience heavy, and I want to put it forward. He's listening, guys. You might not think he's answering, but he will answer in your life. But the universe is listening. The universe has got big old ears. So if you're doing that, it's appealing in that same way that you make your appeal for your sentence to be shortened. Your karma can be shortened by your prayer. That's your headline. Now the prayer consists of 2 things when it comes to bad karma: repentance and reform. Repentance means you've understood that you didn't do the best you could do, and you're very clear about it. I've understood it. It's you just getting the fact that you made a mistake and being clear with it. Look, I think I've done wrong. I don't feel good. Here's what I'm going to do next time. Can you help me with that? And you might get a whisper of wisdom that comes up from your conscience, or some good karma might come to you to help you to realize. But if repent and reform will get you out of jail, that's your process. That's me telling you how the system works. So I'm like the guy who's coming to you while you're in jail and saying, listen, well, I'm another jailbird and I'm coming next door and saying, listen, I got 5 years less because I've done this. It works. Tell them that you get it and what you're going to do differently. Yeah? And you'll have a chance with the judge. But you can see also the sense behind it. Now you've got to mean it too. But that's how divine intervention works as another way of coming through your karma. And there's more. I can think of more if I sat down and actually thought about it more. But if you can start with these 3 things, actually I think we should probably finish. Yeah, we'll finish now.